as an above the fold area, I don't love this one for improv piano tips. It's nice that it's a 3-step plan, that they tell you what the 3-step plan is. Potentially, I feel they're getting to the point a little bit too quickly. You're off to explore the courses, you're going to master Nick's unique techniques. What if I don't know who Nick is at this point? So I've arrived on a page, somehow I've done a search, maybe I've seen an ad, maybe I don't know who Nick is. Somebody's told me that I might enjoy this page. I'd like to see a little bit more scene setting about a sense that you might understand my problem and that you can deliver, my desired state. It's not bad, but I think it could be a lot better. But there's a huge amount to like about this page that happens below the fold. You've got this incredible bonding exercise between the teacher, Nick, and the student. And this is a great example of copy that is doing more than one thing at the same time. So it's billed as how I created my lessons, which in a sense, the reader doesn't really care about. I don't care how you created it. If I'm ordering a burger, I don't particularly care how you came up with the recipe. I care about the burger, but it's up the top and it's going to give me an idea of who you are, so I'll read it. So firstly, you've got a nice looking photograph of Nick and Lily, whom I presume is his wife based on the pose, not his sister. So Nick is the creator of ImprovePianoTips. I'd like to know who Lily is because she's not mentioned. We've got a picture of him, but then we're straight into how he created his lesson. So it's not clear why she's in the picture, but it gives you the sense of a nice guy and somebody loves him, so maybe you're going to love him too. But look at what a great job the copy does of delivering proof and overcoming objections using multiple copywriting techniques. Early into my teaching career, I discovered that traditional piano curriculum does not teach adults how to flow, improvise, and play freely. I will fully admit I don't know how to play the piano. So flow, improvise, and play freely, I am assuming are things that people who play the piano want to know how to do. So we can take that as a given. But look how brilliantly Nick has diminished the alternatives. Traditional piano curriculum doesn't do what you want. So you're in the right place. If you want flow, improvise, and play to flow, improvise, and play freely, you're in the right place. You might be in the only place where you can learn to do that easily because other curricula don't do that. So he's diminished the alternatives very nicely. He hasn't slagged anything off. He hasn't, really leapt into it. But he's, done something, he's done something clever subtly. At 15 years old, now this is quite intriguing, so you're immediately sort of gripped by this. I set out on a mission to develop my own curriculum, so we're getting towards a unique mechanism. And a unique mechanism is a brilliant form of proof. At the Taylor's website, we've got 39 different types of proof that you can use to overcome objections in your copywriting, and this is one of them. It's the use of a unique mechanism, because why would I go somewhere else when I know I won't be able to get what I can get here because the mechanism is unique to you? So Nick has got a unique mechanism that he developed for his 48 weekly adult students. This is social proof. He has students, or he had students at the time at which he was developing the curriculum. There's brilliant use of specificity because there are 48 of them. Not 50, not nearly 50, not just over 50, 48. And when you're specific, it sounds like you've thought about it. You went away and counted. So who would say 48 if they didn't actually have 48? But anybody could say nearly 50. It sounds more made up. So he's got social proof, he's got these students, he's got specificity that makes it even more believable because there are 48 of them. But he's also told you he was 15 at the time. What kind of 15-year-old kid has 48 adult students a week, 7 students a day, lining up to learn from him? Got to be a pretty remarkable 15-year-old, right? So gently, he's telling you his story, but he's introducing a tremendous amount of proof that you're probably not sitting there calculating the way that I'm breaking it down for you now, but your brain is processing all of that as remarkable young man, believable story. He started by reverse engineering how I played and what made people like my playing. How did I give my music freedom? Brilliant. He's building desire in his audience for what he has to offer. Because you're reading, he's reverse engineering what made people like my playing, but you're hearing, what'll it be like when people like my playing? What'll it be like when I give my music feeling? Like, that would be amazing to be able to give my music feeling. People would think I was an incredible pianist. So you're building desire because he's telling you what the end result is, what the transformation's going to be. But he's doing it, again, not in a hard sell way. It's really subtle, operating under the surface. After many years of paying attention to what I was actually doing when I played, I was fortunate enough to crack the code. How brilliant is this? It's a fantastic use of scarcity, because what is remarkable about a code? Not everybody has the code. So it's going to be a little bit harder for you now to navigate away from this page because Nick's got the code. You're not going to get the code somewhere else. Nick has cracked the code. You can go to another course, but they won't have cracked the code. So, fantastic use of scarcity to keep you on the page and to keep you thinking, well, this is the course that I've got to have. So I developed unique exercises, back to the unique mechanism, tested out the methods to help adults work up to eventually sounding like me. Bit of social proof, he's used it with adults and it's worked. So he recorded his video courses, shared them with the world. 22,000 people have taken his course. Phenomenal amount of social proof. And just in case you missed it, he repeats it. 22,000 adults use ImprovePianoTips to enjoy playing piano freely and creatively. Now, maybe you're worried that this must involve a lot of time. You've got to take a month off work. You've got to learn how to play the piano beautifully. No, just 15 minutes a day is going to transform your playing. And in case all of this sounds too good to be true and you start to think, well, it's just you telling me this, Nick, I'm not sure that this is actually the case, we get to some fantastic testimonials. And how great is a testimonial from the former CEO of Frito-Lay and Kraft Foods? Not just because she sounds like she's going to be a pretty credible person, but you don't get to be the CEO of Kraft Foods at 18 years old. You've lived a life. You've had some experience. You've been trained by some people over time. So if you think this is a phenomenal program, you probably know what you're talking about. And also, if somebody who has reached a level of maturity at which they are the former CEO of a massive company, then surely anybody of any age can benefit from this. So multiple things working at multiple levels. So, Nick is an extremely talented musician, tremendous teaching experience. So maybe your objection is, well, the boy can play, but can he teach? Well, Irene thinks he can teach. So that's one of your objections out of the way. Nick's been life-changing in terms of my musical capabilities. I'm enjoying his Facebook group because I learned so much. This is a young man, clearly a young man, who has older people in his thrall and has had them in his thrall since he was 15. And if you didn't believe that from Nick, I think you can believe it from Irene here. So you've got some great testimonials doing a lot of work. Then Nick shows you what's under the hood, but also diminishes the alternatives. This is not like one of those courses where you get classical songs and note reading and sheet music. Those are no use to you at all. The traditional curriculum, as he's already said, doesn't work. So what you'll get from Nick is what you actually want. So the old way cannot deliver the transformation that you're looking for. The new way can. Again, lots of work being done, but none of this is hard to read. None of this seems overly boastful, and none of it seems too enormous to be imaginable, because at every stage the reader might think, I'm not sure about this. Nick is wheeling in a little bit of proof in the form of an Irene or in the form of diminishing the alternatives that have you thinking, yeah, I think you get this. I think you've got something to teach me. More testimonials. Great thing about landing pages is just because you've used a technique once doesn't mean you don't want to use it again. And just because you have dealt with an objection once doesn't mean you don't want to do it again. So a common objection with an online course, for instance, would be, oh, well, look, it works for other people, but it's not going to work for me. Well, I'm going to keep showing you people until you see one who looks like you and you think, well, if it worked for them, it's going to work for me. More social proof, repeating the same piece of social proof. There is no harm in a bit of repetition. You've got a great video so that you can see what goes on inside the course. And, then you've got a final call to action at the bottom of the page where, once again, it's listing what you're going to get. Nice photograph of Nick. All seems very approachable, very believable, very casual, very much in the tone of the audience. This audience is not there because they want to learn how to be a criminal defense attorney. This audience is there because they want to learn to play by ear, improvise, and flow. That all sounds pretty casual to me, and this sounds casual. So there's a lot of work going on this page. We can see that design is not super important. Nick has managed to sell 22,000 versions of his teaching to people with what, is not what you call a cutting-edge design for his course page. It's all about the way you present the offer and prove that you can do what it is that your ideal reader wants to do. Prove that you can deliver the transformation that they want to receive.